afternoon, students. So in the morning class we discussed about Bravais lattices. So the crystals are classified into 7 types basing on physical parameters. So these are given by CTO MTRH. So these are the 7 types of crystals basing on parameters, that is length of the faces, A, B, C values as well as alpha, beta, gamma values. So basing on these parameters, the crystals are classified into 7 types, and now this type of 7 crystals are again further classified into 14 types. These 14 types of crystals are known as Bravais lattices. 14 types of crystals. So these are divided by using type of unit cell. So which type of unit cell is present in the crystal? So that is the parameter here to convert 7 types of crystals into 14 types. So these are, first one, cubic crystal. So here cubic crystal is further divided into 3 types. These are primitive cubic, primitive or simple cubic. Second one FCC, and third one BCC. So for totally there are 3. So a cubic crystal is further classified into 3 types basing on the presence of unit cell. If suppose in the case of cubic crystal, so there are 3 types of unit cells exist. So first one is primitive cubic unit cell is exist, FCC, and also BCC unit cell is also present in the cubic crystal. That is why a cubic crystal is further classified into 3 types. So here 3 is nothing but Bravais lattices for a cubic crystal. So similarly, second one, tetragonal crystal. So here tetragonal crystal is further classified into simple as well as BCC. So it means in the case of tetragonal crystal, so there are 2 types of unit cells are present. One is simple cubic unit cell and the second one is body centered cubic unit cell. So it means in this unit cell the atoms are only arranged at corners. Whereas here in the case of BCC, the points are arranged at both the corners as well as center of the unit cell. So such type of unit cells are exist for the case of, in the case of tetragonal crystal. So that is why the number of Bravais lattices for a tetragonal crystal is equal to 2. One is simple tetragonal, second one is body centered cubic tetragonal crystal. So this is the crystal. So these are the unit cells present in the crystal. So that is why this crystal is converted into 3 crystals, that is primitive cubic, second one face centered cubic, third one body centered cubic. All are crystals. Similarly tetragonal, so there is a simple as well as BCC. And now third one, orthorhombic. So here the unit cells present in orthorhombic crystal is simple as well as FCC, BCC, and also end phase. So all types of unit cells are present in orthorhombic crystal. That is why the Bravais lattices for this crystal is equal to 4. Simple, FCC, BCC, and end phase centered. So all unit cells. So these are the 4 types of unit cells. All these type of unit cells present in the one and only crystal, that is orthorhombic crystal. Therefore, the Bravais lattices for orthorhombic crystal is equal to 4. And then fourth one, monoclinic. So in the case of monoclinics, so there are simple as well as end phase centered. So only two types of unit cells are present in the case of monoclinic crystal. That is why Bravais lattices for this crystal is equal to 2. And then fifth one, triclinic crystal. So in the case of triclinic, there is only one unit cell present in that crystal, that is one and only simple. So here the atoms are only arranged at all corners, so that is nothing but a simple unit cell. So this simple unit cell is only present in a triclinic crystal. So triclinic crystal only having one structure, that is a simple triclinic crystal. Therefore Bravais lattices that are exist for triclinic crystal is always 1. And next sixth one. So sixth one is rhombohedral. So in the case of rhombohedral, the Bravais lattices are only a simple rhombohedral. It means there is only one unit cell present in that crystal, therefore it is having only one Bravais lattice. And finally hexagonal. So hexagonal crystal having only end face centered cubic unit cell. So there is no simple cubic unit cell, there is no FCC as well as there is no BCC. It contains only one unit cell, that is nothing but end face centered unit cell. Therefore the Bravais lattices for this crystal is equal to 1. Now total. So the total number of unit cell present in the 7 types of crystals is equal to, so 3 plus 2, 5, 5 plus 4, 9, 9 plus 2, 11, 12, 13 and 14. So these 14 types of crystals are known as Bravais lattices. So how many Bravais lattices are there? There are 14 Bravais lattices. So totally 14 crystals basing on the type of unit cell present in the crystal. So first of all, for simple cubic unit cell or cubic crystal, there are 3 Bravais lattices. For tetragonal, there are 2. For rhombohedral, there are 4. So maximum here, this is the maximum unit cells present in that orthorhombic crystal. And then monoclinic having only 2 unit cells, simple as well as end face centered. Therefore Bravais lattice is equal to 2. But here, so remaining 3 having only 1 unit cell. For triclinic it is only simple, for rhombohedral simple, and hexagonal there is a end face centered cubic unit cell. Therefore all the sum of all these unit cell is equal to 14. These 14 types of crystals are known as Bravais lattices. So the definition for Bravais lattices is the 7 types of crystals are further classified into 14 types basing on 14 types basing on unit cell, basing on unit cells. So these 14 types of unit cells are nothing but Bravais lattices. So Bravais lattices are only depends on the type of unit cell. So how many types of unit cells are there? There are 4 types of unit cell. So these are the types. If suppose in a crystal, if all the atoms are present only at corners, so this is the corner. So this is the corner. Therefore if atoms are present only at corners, so 8 corners, then this is nothing but PC, that is primitive cubic or simply simple cubic. Whereas if atoms are present at corners as well as center of the each face, so all corners, so 8 corners containing 8 points, and also center. center of each face. So this is the center for this face and this is the center for this place. So similarly front and back, right hand side and left hand side. So this is the crystal in which the unit cell containing 8 points at 8 corners and 6 points at center of each face. Then this is nothing but FCC. So basing on FCC or simple cubic unit cell, the 7 types of crystals are classified into 14 types. So this is for FCC and then BCC. So in the case of BCC, the atoms are arranged like this. So 8 atoms at 8 corners. So these are the 8 corners and also a point that is present at center of the unit cell. So this is nothing but BCC, body centered cubic unit cell. And finally end face centered. So here atoms are arranged at all corners and also end of the centers. So 8 corners, 8 points and also one more point present at this face end and this face end. So these are the 2 points at the end of the crystal. So this type of crystal unit cell is nothing but end face centered unit cell. So basing on the present of unit cell, these 7 types of crystals are further classified into 14 types. So these 14 crystals are known as Bravais lattices. So this is all about Bravais lattices. And finally, next topic is Bragg's equation or simply X-ray diffraction study. So this is very important question. X-ray diffraction or Bragg's equation. X-ray diffraction or Bragg's equation. So here X-rays. So these are the radiation present in the electromagnetic radiation. So electromagnetic radiation means a radiation which contains both electric field and maximum magnetic field. If a radiation contains electric field as well as magnetic field, then that radiation is nothing but electromagnetic radiation. So here X-rays are always having high energy radiation. These are having high energy or low wavelength. So E is equal to h nu. According to Planck's equation, E is equal to h nu, where nu is frequency, that is given by C by lambda. Therefore, if a radiation having high energy, then it is having high frequency, whereas it is having less wavelength, because here frequency is inversely proportional to wavelength. So this is the relation between wavelength as well as frequency. So here X-rays are always having high energy, that is nothing but these are having a low wavelength. So here the wavelength of X-rays is nearly equal to, so it is in the order of 10 power minus 8 centimeters. So this is the order of, so the range of wavelength of X-rays, that is 10 power minus 8 centimeters. Similarly, the distance between the layers present in a crystal, distance between the layers present in a crystal is also equal to in the order of 10 power minus 8 centimeters. So what does this mean? The wavelength of X-rays is equal to 10 power minus 8 centimeters, as well as the distance between the layers present in a crystal is also equal to 10 power minus 8. So both are equal. That is why whenever X-rays are incident on the our crystal, then some of the X-rays are penetrated into crystal and the remaining fraction of the X-rays are diffraction. So undergoes a transition with an angle, that is nothing but diffraction. So X-rays involves diffraction because here the wavelength of X-rays are equal to the distance between the adjacent layers present in a crystal. So that is why X-rays are used to determine the structure of the crystal. So X-rays are useful to determine the structure of a crystal. Structure of a crystal. So this is only because of the wavelength is equal to the distance between the X-rays. So here these are useful to determine the structure of X-rays. So for this, Bragg's, so scientist name, derives an equation. Bragg's derives an equation that is nothing but Bragg's equation. So for this determination, Bragg's consider that each crystal is composed of a series of parallel lines. First assumption is a crystal is composed of series of parallel lines. Series of parallel lines. So look at the diagram, right? So these are the series of parallel lines present in a crystal. So this is the first line, second line, third line. So here the atoms, so this is the atom, second atom, third atom. So it means in a crystal all the atoms are arranged in a regular manner. So all are present at equal distances. So these are the atoms present in the layers of a crystal. Right? So these are the series of parallel lines present in a crystal. Now X-rays are incident on the any atom present in the crystal. If suppose this is an X-ray incident on this point, so this is wave 1, X-ray 1 or simply X1. So this is the wave 1 incident on a point in the first line and then it is penetrate into next point present in the level. So that is this. So some fraction of the radiation, X-ray radiation is penetrated into next level and the remaining fraction of radiation is transmitted like this. So here theta is the incident angle, where theta is incident angle, and here this is taken as origin. So this is O. And the wave is starting from A, O, A dash. Similarly, again consider the second X-ray, so that is X-ray 2, that is incident on second layer and again it is penetrated into next level and also it is transmitted like this. So it is taken as B, Z, B dash. So here there are two X-rays. One is wave 1. So wave 1 incident on the first layer and it is penetrated, hence it is having a path length that is A, O, A dash. So this is the path length of X-ray 1. Similarly, second wave, second incident on the second layer and it has a wavelength. So this is B, Z, B dash. This is the path length of X-ray 2. So this is wave 1 and this is wave 2. So both are incident with an angle of theta. So theta is nothing but angle of incident radiation or simply incident angle. This is incident angle. So here look at the diagram. The path length of AO A dash is less than path length of B Z B dash. because here this path making some extra distance than AOA dash. Therefore, path length of BZB dash is more compared to path length of AOA dash. And also here this distance between two layers is taken as a D, that is a distance between adjacent layers in the crystal, that is taken as a D. Now here path length of BZB dash is greater than that of AOA dash. Now what is the path difference? So to determine path difference, draw a perpendiculars. So here I draw a perpendicular O to Z. This is Z and this is, so already it is taken as Z, that is why I taken this as C and this is a D. So here I draw perpendicular OC. So this is the perpendicular along BZ and also one more perpendicular OD along ZB dash. So here I draw a perpendicular to determine the path difference. So here OC is the perpendicular along BZ and OD is the perpendicular along ZB dash. Therefore now, so what is the path difference? Therefore here the path difference is equal to so what is the path difference? So this is the extra path. So this is the extra path for second wave. Therefore path difference is equal to CZ plus ZD. So this is the path difference. So BZB dash having high path length compared to AOA dash. Therefore, what is the difference between these two paths? That is given by the distance CZ plus ZD. So that is determined by drawing a perpendicular OC along BZ and also OD along ZB dash. So therefore, finally path difference is equal to ZD plus CZ. So this is taken as equation number 1. Path difference is equal to ZD plus ZDS. So why it is difference between path of X-ray 1 and X-ray 2? What is the reason for that difference? So the reason for that difference is here we taking two different X-rays. So this is wave 1 and this is wave 2. Wave 1 and wave 2. So both are different. So that difference represents there is a change in wavelength of the X-ray. Therefore, path difference is always directly proportional to the wavelength of the X-rays used in that experiment. Therefore, here there is a path difference and that path difference is only due to wavelength of the X-rays. Therefore, path difference is always directly proportional to the wavelength of the X-rays, that is directly proportional to lambda. So therefore path difference is equal to, so in place of proportionality that is equal to, then we put an constant n that is equal to n lambda. So this is taken as equation number 2. So path difference is directly proportional to wavelength of the X-rays. Therefore simply path difference is equal to n lambda. So already in equation 1 path difference is equal to CZ plus ZD, whereas here path difference is equal to n lambda. Therefore from equation 1 and 2, from equation number 1 and 2, so from 1 and 2 both are path difference values. Therefore n lambda is equal to CZ plus ZD. N lambda is equal to CZ plus ZD. So what is CZ and ZD? So look at the diagram again. So here this is CZ and this is ZD. So both are equal. Why? Here there are two triangles. Look at the triangles. So here So this is one triangle and again this is another triangle. So this is taken as O and this is C, this is Z and this is D. So here there are two triangles, one is OZC and the second one is OZD. So these are the triangles here. So here these two triangles having one same length and also here one same theta angle. So angle is same and also length of the face is also same. Therefore these two triangles are known as congruent triangles. Congruent triangles. Therefore all lengths of the triangle are equal. So this length is equal, that is why this length CZ, that is always equal to ZD. So in the case of congruent triangles, CZ is equal to ZD. So both are equal. Therefore CZ is equal to ZD. And hence finally here lambda is equal to CZ. In the place of ZD, it is again CZ. Therefore N lambda is equal to 2 into Cz. So this is taken as equation number 3. N lambda is equal to 2 into Cz. Now again consider the same triangle. So what is the triangle here? So the triangle is OCZ. So that is the triangle. Consider the triangle here. This is an angle theta, this is O, this is C and this is D. So look at the triangle here. Now I consider this triangle OCZ. So there is an angle theta. Now apply sin theta formula for that triangle. So what is sin theta formula? Sin theta is equal to opposite side by hypothesis. So what is the opposite side here? So opposite side is OC. Therefore sin theta is equal to OC. So this is the opposite side and hypothesis, so that is OD. So this is the formula for sin theta in that triangle. So sin theta is equal to OC divided by OD. Therefore sin theta is equal to OC divided by OD. Similarly, again look at the another triangle. So here the triangle is OCZ. So this is the triangle of triangle. So this is theta, this is origin, this is C and this is Z. So here in this case sin theta is equal to opposite side, that is equal to CZ divided by hypothesis is equal to OZ. So sin theta is equal to opposite side. So this is the opposite side, that is CZ divided by hypothesis, that is OZ. Therefore from the triangle sin theta is equal to CZ divided by OZ. Is it OZ? Look at the triangle again. So that is equal to CZ divided by OZ. Therefore sin theta is equal to CZ divided by OZ. So from this equation CZ is equal to OZ into sin theta. CZ is equal to OZ into sin theta. So here what is the value of OZ? Again look at the diagram. So OZ value. So here this is OZ. So from O to Z. So this is equal to distance between the two planes. So therefore OZ value is always equal to D, that is the distance between the layers present in that crystal. Therefore Therefore here sin theta is equal to Cz by Oz. Therefore from this equation Cz is equal to Oz into sin theta, but Oz value is equal to d, that is equal to d sin theta. So this is taken as equation number 4. So look at equation 3, n lambda is equal to 2 into Cz, whereas in the case of fourth equation Cz is equal to d into sin theta. Therefore from equation 3 and 4, from equation number 3 and 4, so what is 3? N lambda is equal to 2 into Cz, so where Cz is equal to d into sin theta. Therefore finally n lambda is equal to 2d sin theta. This equation is known as Bragg's equation. This equation is known as Bragg's equation. So here n is nothing but order of reflection, and lambda is nothing but wavelength of X-rays. And d. So what is d? Distance between the layers. And finally theta. So what is theta? Theta is nothing but angle of reflection. So finally derived Bragg's an equation, that is nothing but Bragg's equation, that is given by n lambda is equal to 2d sin theta. So by knowing the value of theta and lambda, we determine the distance between the layers. If it is a first order reflection, that is nothing but n is equal to 1. If n is equal to 1, so it means first order reflection. Then so here n is equal to 1, it means 1 into lambda is equal to 2 into d into sin theta. So therefore from this equation sin theta is equal to 1 by 2d, or simply d is equal to 1 by 2 sin theta. So here theta is determined when the distance between the two layers is known, whereas the d value, that is distance between the layer, is determined by knowing the value of theta. Therefore according to Bragg's equation, the distance between the layers present in a crystal is always given by d is equal to 1 by 2 into sin theta. This is only for first order, that is n is equal to 1. So look at the derivation again. So first of all, Bragg's equation. So Bragg derived an equation which represents the study of crystals, right? So according to Bragg, every crystal is composed of a series of parallel lines. So these are the parallel lines, first line, second line, third line, fourth line, like that. So series of parallel lines, so that means in this the distance between each layer is constant. So here the distance between these two layers is d, similarly this distance is also equal to d. So these are seriously arranged in a regular manner, that means all are in equal distance, and also the point is present in the crystal. So this is the first point, second one, third one. So the distance between these 2 points is always exactly equal to the distance between these 2 points. Therefore the atoms are regularly orderly arranged in that manner. So this is nothing but a series of parallel lines. So whenever X-rays are incident on the any atom present in the one layer, then some fraction of the X-rays are penetrated into next level and remaining fraction is reflected in the opposite direction. So this is the incident light and this is the reflected light. So the light is transmitted in that direction. So this is the X-ray 1 having a wavelength something. So whenever a high wavelength energy second wave is incident on second layer, then it again penetrated into next level and some fraction is transmitted in that direction. So here AOA dash is the path length of the wave 1 and BZB dash is the path length of the X-ray 2. So clearly here the wavelength or the path length of BZB dash is always greater than AOA dash because it is small compared to this one. Therefore, there is a path difference. So that the path difference between these two layers is always determined by drawing a perpendiculars OC and OD. So here OD is drawn along BZ and OD is drawn along ZB dash. Therefore, there are the two perpendiculars OC as well as OD. So now the path difference is always equal to this extra path length, that is CZ plus ZD. Therefore, path difference is equal to CZ plus ZD. That is equation number 1. But here this path length is only due to there is a difference in wavelength of X-ray 1 as well as X-ray 2. If both are having same wavelength, then there is no difference. It means the path difference of X-rays is only due to there is a difference in wavelength of X-rays. That is why path difference is directly proportional to wavelength of the X-rays. So path difference directly proportional to lambda. So in place of proportionality, that is equal to, so then some constant n, so that is nothing but order of reflection. Therefore, path difference is equal to n lambda. This is equation number 2. So from 1 and 2 both are path differences. Therefore, n lambda is equal to Cz plus Zd. So in that triangle both are congruent triangles. Therefore, Cz value is exactly equal to Zd. Therefore, n lambda is equal to Cz plus Cz. That is 2 into Cz. Right. So n lambda is equal to 2 into Cz. Now by knowing the value of Cz, we determine n lambda. So for that I consider a sin theta at the incident angle. So from that triangle, sin theta is equal to opposite side by hypothesis. So in that opposite side is equal to Cz and hypothesis is equal to OZ. So from this Cz is equal to OZ into sin theta, where OZ is nothing but the distance between the two successive layers, that is taken as a d. Therefore, sin theta is equal to Cz by OZ. From that Cz is equal to d into sin theta. So where d is nothing but OZ value. This is OZ value. So from this equation 3 and 4, finally we get an equation, that is n lambda is equal to 2d sin theta. This equation is nothing but Bragg's equation. So by knowing the Bragg's equation value, we determine the distance between the successive layers. So where in this equation n is order of reflection and d is distance between the layers and theta is angle of reflection, and also if n is equal to 1, then it is nothing but a first order reflection. So finally from this equation we derive distance d is equal to 1 by 2 sin theta. So now by knowing the value of theta, we determine d value. So this is all about Bragg's equation. So this is a very important question in the chapter. And now finally one more topic in this chapter, that is defects in crystals. So this is very important essay question from this chapter. Defects in crystals. Defects in crystals. So first of all, what is crystal? Crystal is nothing but, so if suppose I consider this is a crystal, so these are the atoms present in that crystal. if suppose all the atoms are regularly arranged, so that means, so this is a positively charged ion, that is A plus, and this is B minus, again A plus B minus, similarly B minus A plus, B minus A plus. So what does this mean? In this crystal all the atoms are regularly arranged in a manner, so there is a regular order. That is why this is nothing but ideal crystal or perfect crystal. This is ideal or perfect because there is no deviation in their structure. So cation followed by anion, again followed by cation, again followed by anion. So all atoms are arranged in a regular manner. Then that structure is nothing but a ideal crystal or a perfect crystal. But no crystal in nature is perfect. No crystal is perfect. That means every crystal having some deviations in their position of ions, that is either position of cation or in their position of anion. So there is a deviation. That deviation is known as defect. So deviation in a crystal structure, deviation in a crystal structure is known as defect in crystal. So no crystal is ideal in nature. Every crystal having there is a deviation in their position of atoms. That is why every crystal undergoes defects. That means there is a deviation in the crystal structure. These are nothing but defects. So there are two types of defects. These are also observed in both the crystals. So one is stoichiometric compounds. So first one is defects in stoichiometric compounds and also defects in non-stoichiometric compounds. Non-stoichiometric compounds. So in our next class we discussed about stoichiometric compounds and what are non-stoichiometric compounds first, and then so what are the types of defects present in stoichiometric as well as non-stoichiometric compounds. I think already known. So there are two types of defects. What are they? First one is Schottky defect and the second one is Frankel defect. So every crystal undergoes either a Schottky defect or Frankel defect, and also these two type of defects are present in stoichiometric compounds. Stoichiometric compounds, and also one more category in the case of non-stoichiometric compounds. These are metal excess defect, and the second one is metal deficiency defect. So these are the four types of defects. First two defects are observed in the case of stoichiometric compounds, whereas these two defects are observed in the case of non-stoichiometric compounds. So this is very important question. So time is up. Stop here today and discuss these defects in next class. Thank you.